As we've seen extraordinary sum of money being spent on benefits, we believe, by universal credit by 2028, £86 billion a year. This after we've seen a doubling in recent years to 2.3 million of the number of people who are claiming sickness benefits. This comes as one think tank warns that those costs could just keep rising exponentially. Well, right now, let's talk to Sophia Worringer, who is Deputy Policy Director at the Centre for Social Justice. Sophia Worringer, thank you very much indeed for joining us, Sophia.
Hi, Julia.
I've gone for every pronunciation there. I do apologise. It's having breaking news just throwing me a bit there. Look, I mean, we've just been talking to Ian Duncan-Smith, who helped set up the Centre for Social Justice. I mean, we're talking about a huge number of people claiming depression, anxiety, other mental health problems, not able to work. You know, why are we suddenly seeing a doubling of the number of people unable to work? Are we suddenly much sicker than we used to be?
I do think we are sicker than we used to be, but Sir Ian rightly pointed to the crux point of the COVID-19 pandemic as a marker where people realised that actually they could not work and still get paid. And I think people are therefore leaning into incentives within the welfare system, which incentive them to lean into those diagnoses, whether that's a mental health condition or a physical health condition. And it then means if you get this diagnosis and you are deemed to be not fit to work, you are out of the conditionality regime of universal credit, which, as we've heard, has been very successful in getting people back into work, and unemployment under universal credit has dropped. But those who are out of work sick on the long term are outside of that conditionality regime. So they are parked outside of that.
And they're sort of outside of it for exactly kind of forever, aren't they? Just written off. And it is, and Sam Armstrong was just saying, you are basically writing people off. I know, certainly, you know, GPs I've spoken to said people, you know, come in, they want to be, oh, I'm feeling depressed, want to be signed off from work. And it's like, no, you should be going to work. I'm sorry, work is good for you. Structure, routine, purpose in your life, you know, self-respect. These things are really, really good for you. Sitting around, you know, watching telly, even as good as TalkTV, not necessarily good for you if that's what you're doing 24/7, 365. But I mean, Ian Duncan-Smith was saying, look, it was all going in the right direction, and then it all just went horribly wrong when we had lockdown and furlough, and people just basically, you know, signed up to universal credit, not a problem. How is it that we've not managed to sort of go back on that when we have so many job opportunities now?
Yeah, and you're talking about GPs, those who go to GPs with the request to be signed off work. 94% of them do get signed off. So there's also ways that we need to look at how this pipeline of being signed off works and whether there is enough pushback against people presenting with a diagnosis. And this is not about being uncompassionate. We've said that work is the best way for many people to support good mental health, and enablers of good mental health need to be part of the solution. But also it's about fairness for the taxpayer. For those who are paying and working, we can't afford the bill of nearly 90 billion by 2029, which is up almost a half. We can't afford that, and both left and right across the political spectrum, I think, are looking at this problem and saying we need something to change. So I think there is political will to change something.
There's a question of how much carrot, how much stick is involved. I always say, well, people will work when they're hungry enough. I'm a bit ruthless on these things. But again, I also think we want to have enough money to give to the people who absolutely do need it. People who are genuinely disabled, genuinely unable to work, disabled children, people we need to help, the elderly. And yet, you know, we're going to have fewer and fewer people of the working age population. It would appear fewer an ageing population we need to take care of, and fewer people willing to work. And the numbers simply don't add up anymore. Sophia Worringer, I hope you'll come back on the show again. We've got longer time. She's Deputy Policy Director at the Centre for Social Justice think tank. Sam Armstrong, just a very, very brief word from you.
Yeah, well, this doctor is frankly shocking. We've got to
signing these people off.
But here's the thing: GPs are paid to get people into the clinic
and get them out again
as soon as humanly possible. Then we are surprised when they're just filling out the form.
Exactly.
Don't argue with them.
Yeah, indeed.